Louis, did you see this team as a potential 50-win team when you signed here? Did you see that potential in them?
Well, they won 49 and 48 games the 2 previous years, so yeah, I thought it was right around that. But we are close to 50 wins with 10 games to go, so that's a little bit better than I thought it was going to be. And I knew we were going to have a good team, but you got to wait and see how everything puts together for you to really have an idea of how good the team's going to be or how not. And but I knew we were going to win a lot of games.
This is the only franchise that hasn't accomplished that feat. Does that number 50 mean anything?
I'm sure for the franchise makes a difference, but for us playing, being here only this year, we can think that way. What happened in the past doesn't really belong to us, and what will happen in the future probably won't either. So we got to worry about this year and what we want to do, what we believe we are as a team, how many wins we believe we had to have, what we deserve to have, and how far we think and we want to get into the playoffs.
How much does it matter that you guys have played good teams in this league very, very well this year? I think second best record in the league against top 12 teams.
Yeah, that's a good thing because you only play good teams in the playoffs. There's not below 500 teams there, and you make your name by going deep into the playoffs, and you got to play good teams to do that. So we did a good job there. There was a couple other areas in which we didn't, bad teams especially. There was a lot of, like Sacramento got us twice, Denver got us twice. There was a lot of teams that beat us. We let Chicago beat us 4 times. But overall, we did a good regular season, very good regular season up until this point. We still got 10 games to go. But, we're kind of getting into that gray area there in which games really don't make that much of a difference because the positions are locked and teams start to resting players, and probably we will too. So we could say 10 games in that our regular season was very, very good. But we all know this team is going to be judged for what happened after.
So what do you work on in those 10 games? If you know where you're going to be. You're going to be second, maybe first in the conference. Yeah. So what's the 10 games about for you guys?
Well, for now, we're still playing. We continue to play the same way. Today, we're going to play the same way. I don't know if at some point we're going to change the approach. We're going to rest a few players or not. I don't know how coach is going to do that. But for now, we're just playing the same way we've been playing these other 70 games.
So how are you preparing for tonight's game?
Tonight's game is going to be tough. There's a very good team coming. They're kind of like in the same situation that we are. They win a lot of games. They're a very good team, but they are kind of in that gray area where they really can move up and down. But they're playing too. They're not resting a lot of players. They're not just going through the motions. They're playing hard. They're trying to win games. We're trying to win games. So it's going to be a very intense game. It's going to be a playoff-like atmosphere.
What do you plan on going down the stretch? Getting rest and making sure that there's no injuries or anything like that for the playoffs, or is first place in the conference something that you guys have in the back of your mind?
Being first is important, obviously, but it will only make a difference in the 7th game of the conference finals. Before that, it will all pretty much the same because we don't know who's going to be 7 or 8. We don't know who's going to be 5 or 6. We don't know who's going to be 3 or 4. All those teams are one with a half a game of difference. So, you could be number 1 and you ended up playing the 8 who happens to be the 7 when you were 2. So it doesn't really make a difference. And it will always make a difference on the 7th game of the conference final. And, it would be nice to have that when we get to the 7th game of the conference final. But, we worry about that when we get there. There's a lot of things to do there. At the same time, we're going to continue to pursue it. We're going to continue to pursue it. Obviously, we don't want to pay the price of an injury, but you can't control injuries anyway. You may rest players and they still get hurt, or you may not rest them and they ended up being in a better shape and stronger and with less chances to get hurt. So there's really no way to control that. There's only one way to play. We got to go play hard all the way until the end. If coach decides to rest some players, then those players won't play, and whoever walks into the court will play 100% just like any other game, and that will be the best approach. If we get number first, great. If not, we just worry about the game in Cleveland when the time comes.
Luis, you've been on some teams that have made some deeper runs in the playoffs. Can you lend that voice and experience in this locker room here?
Well, yeah, obviously, teams that get deep into the playoff, they have some type of leadership and some type of experience among their players. It's important, and it makes a difference a lot of times. So, but this team has been going through the ladders, it's been going through the steps, and they've been in the playoff. I mean, they haven't been in the conference finals and all that, but they've been in the playoff a couple times. They lost, and they're ready to move to the next level. And like I say, a lot of times we keep talking about number 1 and 2, but we still got to worry about the first round. First round, it's going to be very difficult. So we can't worry about what's going to happen with home court advantage with Cleveland when we are going to have to go through hell before we can get through the first round. And then after that, we will have to go through hell again to get through the second round. So there's a lot of things to worry before that, and I think this team has that. They've been in the playoff the last 2 years and losing in the first round. They're just ready. They're just ready to get through that. So, I think our situation mentally, the approach is good, which doesn't guarantee win, but I think it helps.
What about the way this team plays? I mean, the playoff basketball is a different game, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know that. What about how the Raptors play makes you think that it can translate?
I think it translates well. I think we got a good playoff team, but there will have to be adjustment. It's just a different type of basketball. You're playing 7 times against the same team. They scout everything you do. They know everything you do. So all the things that you usually score on, they're probably not going to be there because those are the things they're going to try to take away from you. There's going to have to be some random stuff. They're going to have to be new ways to score. They're going to have to be some adjustment, and at the same time, we will have to make a part for them to force them to do the same thing, not to make the shots they usually make them play uncomfortable, make them find other ways to score. So there'll have to be some adjustments going into the playoff, which I'm sure we're going to do.
What is it going to mean for you when the Raptors do make the 50th win?
It's going to be fun. 50 is always like a number that everybody chase, so it's going to be fun, but it doesn't really change much. What is going to be special is when we get more than last year in terms of playoffs. So if we get to the second round, it's going to be special, and if we can get through to the conference finals, that's going to be very, very special, and so on. The farther we can get, that's really what's going to, how we are going to get judged by how far we get into the playoff. If we win 55 wins, 57 wins, or something like that, doesn't really gonna make a difference if we don't do good playoffs.